This is Deandra Beatty, and you're listening to The Bowler Show.
Hi, this is Jackie Bowling, and you're listening to The Bowler Show.
This is Jeff Riggles of Storm Products and the 11thframe.com. You're listening to The Bowler Show.
Hi, this is EJ Tackett, and you're listening to The Bowler Show.
Welcome to The Bowler Show, featuring interviews with the biggest names in bowling today. Tonight, we're joined by Pba Tour Commissioner Tom Clark to talk Pba League Bowler Certification, and USBC Public Relations Director Aaron Smith to break down all the action from the Open Championships. And now your hosts, David the Waz Waswo and myself, Luke Rosedal.
All right, welcome everybody to another edition of The Bowler Show, live from the Rosedal studio / basement.
Yeah.
And Luke and I talked a little bit off the show. We may be doing things a little bit differently here coming up. We may be doing it from separate locations. We did that when we were in Vegas last week. We had a lot of fun with that. So I may be just staying at home. It's really not going to matter to the show. I just kind of liked the fact that Luke and I were together on site, but I'm not sure that matters that much. We had a good flow on the last show that we had. And I think it's something we're probably going to do here in the future. Of course, each and every show, we want to thank our sponsors. We want to start off by thanking Storm Bowling. The best products in the bowling world, go to stormbowling.com. And then, of course, everybody else who supports our bowling endeavors at all times. We'll start off with Cool Wick and I Am Bowling, our apparel manufacturers that take care of Luke and I. Hashtag SRGBBFS. Turbo Gripped, Bowlers Mart, S&H Custom Homes, I Am Bowling, BobbyJacksons.com, and Double J's Pro Shop. So thanks again to everybody who supports us. Quick programming note also, we'll clean some of this stuff up here before we get into some of the more important things in bowling. But Luke and I will be taking next week off. Luke will be at Nationals. It's his turn to go out and embarrass himself like I did last week.
Weeks. Yeah.
I will talk if we get a chance.
That's what I was going to say. Let's do this stuff. And
no reason to bring up my bowling at this point.
Oh, come on. Well, we got to figure out who to blame because we talked about this is where we left it last time.
Those layouts just didn't match up with my the way I threw.
So it's Klumpkin's fault.
Yeah, Steve Klumpkin is taking full responsibility, of course.
Yeah.
You still have to throw the projectiles down the lane, Luke, and I think you're going to find out. I mean, I don't know how you're going to handle it being left-handed, but they weren't that easy. They weren't that hard, and we just made them hard. So that's just the way it goes. So
we'll see because we're bowling. We got a few lefties. Joe Ryan is going with us. Got Chaz, obviously. I think Lucas Pajakovic or something like that.
All on your pair?
I don't know. I think he's going to do 2 and 2 because we got 4 teams going.
Okay.
We got 4 lefties as far as I know. We've had a few, mix-ups and kind of shifting some people around, but
that's funny. I bowled a Bowler's Journal squad, and all of a sudden they were all lefties.
Yeah,
there was 3 lefties on the pair. They put 2 lefties with Spencer Robarge, who was begging me. Actually, he kind of was begging me to bowl. I made a joke of it on Facebook, but he just couldn't get any of his group to bowl at 12:30 in the morning when they had a 5 o'clock flight out.
Okay, that's your time though.
That is my time. Apparently, Spencer.
Even in Vegas, you're still fine, right?
Exactly.
With the time change.
Carried Spencer to a solid 12:27 total, and as I said on Facebook, we're a team. We do not disclose our singular scores, so you could probably, if you just add up 7 and 5, you can probably imagine what the 2 people's scores were. So we'll just leave it at that. So
basic math. You don't even need the other 2 numbers at the end of it. You just start with the first number, and that'll.
I think people can figure out who might have had the 7 and who might have had the 5, but it was fun. I made a Greek church. Spencer never did that, so I made a Greek church during that to get to my 520-ish score or whatever the heck it was. And I shot 470 in the previous Bowler's Journal squad with him. I said, "You sure?" He goes, "I just nobody will bowl." I said, "Well, I'll bowl." I said, "I'll improve," and I improved 50 pins, so I was made good on my promise. So. All right, let's leave out who's coming up here in just a few minutes. So we'll leave that as a little bit of teaser. But later in the show, of course, at 7:20 each and every week. I say that with a little tear in my eye because Aaron Smith's not going to be here too much longer with the show. He's obviously his duties will end. And unlike Matt, Aaron actually works the other days of the year. So Aaron will be all over the place. We'll check in with Aaron from time to time. But I would imagine on the 24th, we'll do a wrap-up show with Aaron Smith and he can hand out his virtual eagles here on the show. Yeah. As you said, next week we will not have a show. You will be doing your part in Vegas to have fun and post your 1,700. Well, I didn't get the 1,700.
Yeah, next week is 4th of July. Yeah. So we've got stuff going on. That'd be the 17th or whatever, 2 weeks.
You're the last week, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
17th
right. will be the Sunday that we're out. So we're going to kind of leapfrog it the next couple of weeks. We'll have a show on the 10th, and then we'll have a show on the 24th. We'll be otherwise occupied. Then we'll miss the 30th or 31st also because we're going to be in Springfield.
You and I we're running. I'll be running the KC tournaments in Springfield, and you're going to be bowling. We'll be down there till 4:30 or 5. So there's no way to get back or no way to really do it. But after that, starting in August,
starting in August when
full steam ahead.
Yeah, when leagues get started back up and bowling gets back into full swing, we'll be back in full swing.
Full steam ahead. So. And now that it's official, actually, I'll let you make this announcement. A good friend of yours has uprooted his whole life in North Carolina to come to Kansas City to bowl our tournaments and work also. So why don't you tell us who's coming on at 7:40?
Yeah, we're going to have Mr. James Niffen Jr. coming on the show later. He's from Raleigh, North Carolina. His parents retired to Florida last year, a few months ago or something fairly recent. But he's a pretty big name on the East Coast for those that bowl on the East Coast. He was the Southeast UBA heavyweight champion. I don't know how that all works out.
Is there actually weight classes?
Yeah, they have different weight classes. So they get WWE style belts and everything. So it's really cool. He's bowled a couple. He's kind of recently gotten into bowling some regionals and stuff, but he's actually headed to nationals. He's leaving Monday actually, so we can talk some of the prep for that. We went out and practiced the other day and got some things lined out with him, mechanics wise, and he doesn't need a whole lot of help. You just kind of
got things in place.
Tighten this up and tighten that up, and it's more just he's bouncing ideas off of people rather than actually legitimately needing the info. So,
all right, now that we've taken care of all the particulars, all our sponsors,
he has moved to Kansas City now, so that's the final part of the rambling.
All right, we'll get James in at that time at 7:40. But for now, I believe there was some sort of small news in the world in bowling here recently. It kind of shook up. Actually, broke my Facebook for a while. I've got thousands of friends that are on there that are in the world of bowling. So we wanted to take some time, and we're going to take as much time as this gentleman will allow us. Hopefully, all the way up to 7 o'clock. We're going to monitor the chat also. He is the PBA commissioner. His name is Tom Clark. And we're going to talk about all the recent news here and kind of wrap up the PBA season. Tom, welcome back to the Bowler Show, sir.
Hey, great to be back. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. How are you on time today? Because I know we could make a 5-hour show if we had to.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've got at least a half hour here. I got to go to Bowl Expo in the morning.
Yeah.
So got to pack up for that, and can only stay there a couple days. I had bad family news today. My grandmother passed away. So
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, she was 95, so can't complain. But I got to head back to Syracuse, and then from there go on to the PBA League in Maine. So I got a busy couple of weeks of on the road, and should be the bowling parts will be fun. That's for sure.
All right, before we get to the recent news, take a moment, kind of wrap up the PBA season. You said you're going to the PBA League next. Just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the league, it's a big part of the season, actually. It feels like almost an afterthought because the heat of the individual portion of the season was pretty strong, and we had a lot of memorable moments, 6 different events that had $100,000 winners, and pretty clear-cut player of the year again, which would be Belmo's 7th if it all comes down like that. You would have to say he's the favorite, and that would tie Walter Ray's all-time record. So he was back for sure. But we had a lot of interesting things happen on tour. But the league is just really exciting, and being able to, probably the biggest part of that is going back to Bayside Bowl. We'll be there for a week, and Portland, Maine, this time of year is pretty beautiful. I don't know if you've ever had a chance, to be up there, but it's going to be very loud in that building. I've got a bunch of notes and back and forth with Charlie Mitchell, the proprietor there, and he said they've never sold more tickets. So, and I know we've got a lot of guests and VIPs showing up, so it's going to be packed in this place, and it's going to be loud. And the PBA League is just always exciting television. It's going to be on the 6th, the 7th, and then the finals will be on Sunday the 10th. And in between, we're going to actually be taping a couple of shows that'll air later on, a couple weeks later, Strike Derby and our All-Star Clash, which are going to air in conjunction with Major League Baseball All-Star Game that same weekend. So it's kind of like our All-Star stuff, and our Strike Derby runs alongside baseball's All-Star stuff, and it's Home Run Derby, which is kind of interesting. So we got a lot going on in Maine in a couple weeks here. So it'll be fun. We got the 50 of the best players in the world, and they want to win bad, and it's a lot of prize money at stake too. So it's a good way to cap off the year.
All right, now that the year's capped off, and
we know what we want to talk about.
We know what the people want. Yeah,
apparently
give them what they want.
Take a moment and just give us an overview first for the casual fan who might be listening in here and not even know about this news. Just tell them what's going on, and just do a broad overview of what it is and how you guys are going to tackle that, and then we'll get into more specific questions later.
Yeah, well, obviously everybody knows, Bolero, bought the PBA at the end of 2019, and the combination of assets and experience and just the reach and the potential of Bolero's strengths and the PBA's strengths led to us coming up with this new PBA League Bowler Certification Program. And so when you think about Bolero, they have 317 centers across the country, and they have 180,000 league bowlers already in those centers. And when those 180,000 league bowlers start up their 2022-2023 season in late August, early September, every single one of them is going to be enrolled into the PBA League Bowler Certification Program. And that'll immediately, unite those 180,000 people around the country into a really strong membership, which is exciting. And so what we've been working on is figuring out what they're going to get, for what opportunities they're going to have, and what how it's going to feel different being a part of these leagues than ever before. And by the way, it's not going to be closed just to Bolero centers working towards the future. It'll be open to any bowling center, and I have so many other favorites throughout the country that have supported the PBA all these years, and they'll be the first on the list, and they're going to have the opportunity to buy in phase 2 of this program. But the best way to roll it out was at the centers that are owned by our corporate ownership, Bolero. So, when they start, we're gonna center on 4 different areas to try to improve the league experience, modernize it, make it more relevant, be really transparent about everything, communicate really strong, show recognition, keep people engaged, and give them fresh opportunities to compete in exclusive events. So we have a statistics area where people's averages will be kept, and their league standings will be accessible in real time. All of their games for the year and all their statistics week to week and how they're going by charts, graphs, in-depth information will be at every bowler's fingertips in real time. And you'll be able to look up other leagues and other bowlers in the system, and compare yourself in different ways, up and down. It's a partnership on the statistics side with a group called League Pals, which is in several. There's a bunch of people that are part of League Pals now, and League Pals is installed in all Brunswick machines as it is, and now it's installed in every Bolero center, and almost every center in the country has access to League Pals. And it's really a cool system that, maybe one of these, you get a chance to look it up on YouTube or something and get a little rundown of what they've shown that they can do. But these are guys that were bowlers, and they just looked at league bowling and tried to figure out, how can we make this smoother and modernized, and people pay for their league dues every week online, and they pay with a credit card, and they don't have to bring cash and put it in an envelope. And leagues will have the option to do that if they still want to, but they won't have to. And so there's advantages to League Pals in that regard, but then mostly it's stats. I mean, the run-throughs that I've had, it just blows my mind, because I've bowled league every year since I was a little kid, and I've never had access to numbers and my own numbers like this before. And it's just fun. I told somebody the other day that it reminded me of being part of like a fantasy football league, where you go in and you see how you're doing. You check every other matchup in your league. You see how they're doing. You look at your standings. You figure out what's going on. You look at all your teammates, and it just makes you more engaged with it. And I think that people are going to really enjoy being immediately enrolled in it. And then another part of the membership that will be really beneficial, and is tied to the statistics and tied to League Pals in some aspects, is awards and recognition that the bowlers are going to be able to get. So there'll be push notifications out when people do awards that are programmed into League Pals, and that'll be live and ongoing. But also we'll have a series of awards, and that for all skill levels. This isn't just 300 games. I mean, this is 100 pins over your average, first 100 game, whatever it is, for all different skill levels and ages. And we're going to have it'll be integrated with PBA pro bowlers who will be recording, congratulations and encouragement to the players who earn the chance to get an email, from them based on what they accomplish in their leagues, and other different types of digital awards that we'll be handing out. NFTs, possibly, that you'll get an NFT and be able to own that. And and then just certificates and things like that are printable. And it's just the constant recognition, though. And then each bowling center is also going to really up its game when it comes to recognizing the accomplishments of these league bowlers in their bowling centers. So I think you're going to see a lot of that, and some prizes there with the awards. Then we have a really fresh tournaments outlook and exclusive events for these players. So the bowlers there's going to be a new national event, and similar to the USBC Open. Of course, in the first year, it's not going to have the pageantry and the tradition. And we all love the USBC Open, and it's not going to have all of that, but it'll have a lot of things that are pretty exciting, and prize funds that I think will really make people excited. Divisions, an ability to bowl with who you want to, that'll be exciting. And I think that it'll be a kind of national tournament that helps grow the game, and just is a lot of fun for people to make a trip and compete in it. And then we'll also have a lot of local tournaments, and one of those one way that the local tournaments will be run is a yearly bowling center championship, sort of like a club championship in golf, where you want to be the king of your golf course. And in this, each one of these centers that houses PBA league bowler certified leagues, there'll be a tournament that's for the champion of that bowling center, and that's going to be that'll be a lot of fun. And then there's going to be a lot of virtual tournament opportunities as well that'll be exclusive for these players. And then we also will have a full new set of rules. We'll have our own rules that will be from the PBA National Tour, all the way to the PBA Regional Tour, the PBA 50 Tour, PBA Junior, and also PBA leagues. These leagues that are for all skill levels, and a big talking point, obviously, this week in the bowling in our world, is that one part of those rules will be equipment specifications. So we'll be doing our own testing in different ways, and we can't really wait to get together with the ball manufacturers and figure out the best way to do that. And I wouldn't worry about anything being immediate this year. There's going to be things you can't do or can't do. There's not going to be anything immediate. Everything with our rules and our equipment specifications will be completely transparent. We'll let people know what's going on, when things will go into place, when there's going to be rules available for them, and as you know, most leagues kind of have their own formats and rules, and they'll all be able to stick with what they've been doing, especially in this first year. But we brought on, who I think is the number one, the only, the best person to man this rules and equipment specifications, and that's Neil Stremmel, who has done it. Everybody in bowling knows him. Everyone in the industry knows him, trusts him, and we're lucky to be able to bring him on board to man that entire division. So all these things put together, it's pretty exciting, and it's really just the start. But it's a pretty big start. It's a fast start, starting right up in a couple months here, and everyone's going to be a part of it. And I really think it's going to just, modernize the game. It'll make. We want to grow league bowling. I mean, it should be pretty encouraging to anyone in bowling to know how dedicated, obviously, Bolero is to the sports side of the game, and that's the side of the game that us guys care about. League bowling, professional bowling, tournament bowling. I mean, all of that stuff is what we love. And for a while, a lot of people wondered or thought that maybe Bolero wasn't dedicated to that, or maybe only interested in the completely recreational side, the party side, the nights, the open bowling, which is all awesome and will continue. And we hopefully will be able to bridge the gap between those people that are coming in purely for fun, and that once a year, or and get them to come more often and get them to understand what being part of a league can do for your life. It can improve your life, the camaraderie, the competition. It's the best, and so they just need to be educated to that and give it a look. And once they get involved, I don't think they're going to leave. So it's pretty exciting. I'm sure there's a bunch of questions. I wasn't reading them as they came in, but and I'm not sure how many I can answer. I mean, clearly we just started. Neil hasn't even started yet. He starts July 6th. He'll be at Bowl Expo, but he starts officially on July 6th. So, and I'm smart enough not to get in his way and give him an opportunity to figure out what directions and how we want to go and who we're going to talk to, and so.
All right, Tom, let's do this.
Yep.
We have obviously there's a million questions I could ask, and there's a bunch in the chat. I'm going to ask you one question. We're going to probably label it more as a hardball question, and then I'll let Luke get to the chat, and we'll get a little more detail oriented. There's all kinds of stuff you see on Facebook, and we know how negative it can be, but what do you say to the people, kind of the perception, or how are you guys going to handle it? Obviously, there's times you work with the USBC in tournaments, and you guys are rolling this certification program out. How are you going to either coordinate with them at all, or how are you looking towards the future? Is this something, without getting too deep into it, it's not like a hostile takeover, but you guys are wanting to improve the league bowling aspect of the sport mainly. So now I'm dragging this on, but what's your overview on what might happen in the future and how you guys will either work together or one organization may go away?
I don't really think one will go away. I mean, I don't think that's really the goal. I think that if anybody wants to look at it as competition, I don't think there's ever really a bad thing about competition. It usually makes makes everybody involved better and gives better services to everybody involved, and it keeps everybody being reflective, self-reflective, looking at how they're doing things, how their customers are feeling, how the retention rates are, and hopefully just improves the overall experience across the board in league bowling. I mean, a lot of these, I think, and these are just general numbers, but of the 180,000 that bowl league and boleros, it's somewhere between 100 and 120,000. I think. It's just approximate, but about 100 to 120,000 who are in USBC certified leagues. And they certainly are going to be able to make that decision when they come back for the year to stay in USBC leagues. And there's plenty of compelling reasons to do that. I think that there's compelling reasons to just go with the PBA league. There's reasons to possibly go with both. So they're going to have that. They're going to have that opportunity and choice to do that. It's not like if you come back to a bolero league, you're being told that you cannot certify with the USBC. So it could be both at the same time. It could be people could decide to do one. If you're in a bolero, you're automatically in the PBA system. But there's also, bolero keeps growing. I mean, just as you probably saw, they just you're a Kansas guy. I mean, they just bought North Rock. I mean, that's a pillar in the bowling community, and they own that bowling center now. And so they continue to grow and, publicly traded and have a lot of ambition in this sport. But still they have 300 or so bowling centers, and there's, almost 4,000 in the country. So until there's a growth outside of the bolero centers and where some people would feel like there's a competition, I guess we'll see what happens at that point.
All right, Luke, take it away. What do we got here in the chat? We got any interesting stuff there to ask Mr. Clark?
Well, I think that we've had most of these have been answered, but I think some people are wanting to know with only. Let me pop one of these up here. So, if we want to bowl the national tournament, the PBA League Bowler Certification National Championship, but don't bowl at a Bolero Center, can people outside of Bolero Centers right now buy into the membership? Similar to there's a lot of people that bowl unsanctioned leagues right now, and they just buy their card to go to the Open Championship. So is that going to be an option?
You know what? We haven't even gotten there yet. We haven't even decided the exact venue for sure where we're going to be, and we haven't decided. So there's a lot that we're working on. We're going to make sure we have a really good tournament director as well, and Neil's a big tournament person, so he'll be involved. But but I think that's not a bad idea. I mean, it's not. It would end up being. It's similar. And right now, the only way we've even talked about it at the highest level is it's open to these PBA league bowlers that are in the Bolero centers immediately. But why would we turn away anybody that wants to come in and buy a membership? We don't have a price tag on it yet. So I think you'll probably see that happen. But I don't want to say it's 100% yet, because we're going to have a tournament group and committee that works on this and makes those kinds of decisions.
All right. Here's another one, too. Obviously, the second part of this question has been answered very solidly. It says, what was the inspiration for the PBA to start qualifying leagues, and do they plan on putting forth new resources to make sure there's serious qualification? Obviously, you're putting forth the resources, and then you hear a name like Neil Stremmel, and it seems, this is definitely going to be a big thing that you guys are really going to put a bunch of resources into. But talk a little bit about the inspiration, maybe, the first part of that question.
Well, I'm not sure what qualifying leagues mean. I think he just means regular league bowling.
Just certifying league bowling. Basically.
I think we just thought, now's the time, and we have the essential resources and expertise. I think that it's a great sign for those of us who love bowling that Bolero, they really want the PBA is the driving force of this, and it's a PBA league, and so to see Bolero use the PBA's history, the PBA's credibility, the PBA's integrity, and the entertainment value of the PBA and the success that we've had as the highest level of professional bowling since 1958. The stars of the game have all been defined on the Pba Tour, and what we do all over the country with our regionals, our national media, television, all of those things, utilizing that to entice and improve the league experience is a really, really good sign. And I think it'll also, mean a lot for the PBA, because when the league bowlers, which is really the backbone of the whole of the sport to me, when league bowlers feel just a little bit more connection to the PBA and getting, emails from PBA bowlers, hopefully we're going to have some, ambassadors get around to leagues and make appearances, and hopefully do a lot when it comes to tips and ways to improve your game and get that information from the professionals to the league bowlers. I think you'll see people just more drawn to wanting to follow the PBA and watch the shows. And so I think there's a lot of marketing value that goes back and forth. The PBA Tour will market the leagues, but the leagues in turn will help improve the PBA standing, from a marketing standpoint. So it's kind of a great fit. I mean, it's kind of a dream come true when you really think of it. I mean, if you could ever have, when the PBA was standing alone, always wanted there to be PBA leagues. When we started the PBA Experience Leagues back when I was at USBC, that was really exciting and cool. I think I saw a question in there about patterns, and so it's not like every one of these leagues is going to be on a PBA pattern. They'll be on house pattern. Yeah, there's your question. Yeah, they'll be on house just like they always were, unless a league wants something different. And there will certainly be options to utilize PBA national tour patterns and be able to bowl on those. And then we'll work on, rating the averages based on the level of difficulty that people decide to bowl on. And it'll also probably dictate the level of awards, that people win. If they do things in a PBA league that does utilize the kind of conditions that pro bowlers face, I think that would warrant different types of awards. So it's a lot of exciting, ways this can go and will go.
Yeah, I think, like you said, as soon as Neil gets started, I'm sure he's going to be able to hit the ground running, because I'm sure he's already got all kinds of ideas and got a lot of this kind of already the hamsters in motion. But he's obviously got just tons and tons of experience with it, and so I'm sure that there's going to be a bunch of, like USBC has regulations or guidelines for what the lane conditions need to be, what's legal, what this, that, and the other. And I think he means is, if this doesn't show Bolero is invested in league bowling, I don't know what will. Happy for the future of this at my center and 300 others nationwide. And I think this is only a good thing. So whether, like you were saying, competition's a good thing because it encourages the bowlers win, because it encourages each organization to kind of up their game and continue to deliver. And so this could be a pairing almost. This could be something where people can still have the USBC events that they like. They can also certify with the PBA and have both national tournaments have different options on both. It's not like people really have to decide, I'm going to go with either USBC or the PBA League Bowler certification. They can have both.
Right. Yeah. I absolutely. And I think that one part of it that I'm pretty excited about when you start talking about the equipment specs and rules and things is that I don't feel like it has to be feel like it's this punitive thing where, well, this has to meet this, or it's gone, or this has to meet this, and then it's not. And then, I hope that it becomes educational. I hope we take advantage of the opportunity to work with the ball companies and other industry partners, and even lane conditions and things like that, to not just put them out there and not just have a rule, but to say why, and to try to explain what everything means, and then also to try to I don't know what I'm looking for here, but I just want people to I want the time that we spend testing a bowling ball, for example, we should include in it not just that it's approved, but that what this ball is, and maybe even assign it, something where you would know, this is a reactive resin ball, this is a urethane ball, this is a plastic ball, and then if you assign that to each ball and you actually label it when it comes through, and the ball companies become involved with that, then you can do things that are kind of creative and have events that are only for certain types of equipment, or events that are for all equipment. And same thing with lane conditions and awards. And so if you can create a lot of levels, and you can educate and explain the difference between each level, and explain the difference between each kind of equipment, and then explain why some tournaments or some events or some leagues would only utilize some kinds of equipment, and it would really be up to the league. It'd be up to whatever they want to do. It just could make it a little bit more interesting and educational, and people could grow in the game a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely tons of potential, because we could sit here and just throw out ideas all the time, and I'm sure that you've been doing that a lot for the last couple of years, however long this has been kind of a percolating, so to speak.
That's what I was going to use.
Yeah.
Well, you saw that when we first when Bolero first came on board, I think that the best thing that we did working together was create Pba Junior, and I love that program and always wanted to do that program, even when we were PBA before Bolero, just to start a PBA Little Leagues or PBA Youth Bowling, so Pba Junior, and the national tournament that we did the first year when it was in the middle of COVID and it was like hard to do anything, and we created that Pba Junior program, and every time I see a kid wearing that jersey, it means it means a lot, and I feel like, as we know, it's cliche, but the kids are the future. The kids are who we want involved in the game the right way, learn it the right way, be connected to the PBA, have opportunities to compete and get to know each other. And I think the Pba Junior has been a big step in that. But now to take it to this next level where everybody that's in the league is automatically under the PBA umbrella. Since I've been with the PBA since 2008, we've hovered around 3,000 to 4,000, 4,000 members. And that's just the best bowlers that apply for membership and bowl regionals or want a PBA membership because they're a top player. And that's all that it was ever really going to be at that level. But having a really robust membership that has value to all the bowlers and to either sponsors or just activating different programs, and have 180,000 on day one, it's pretty cool.
All right. Enough about how this is going to affect everybody else. I run tournaments here in town. I want to know how this is going to affect the local tournaments, especially dealing with averages. What's going to be the best way for me to tackle that? Is it just going to be, hey, I need to look up both sides to find their highest book average? You guys are going to have, you talked about the stats. You're going to have a place to where we can look up averages, obviously, right?
Oh, yeah. You'll be able to see everybody's average the day they bowl. So you'll see everybody's scores every single time they bowl. It's really cool system. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it how League Pals works, and it's gonna be PBA League Pals. So we're gonna there's gonna be some tweaking to the presentation, and but you're gonna love it. I think it'll be up to the tournament. We have, this is another one it hasn't been completely, thought out yet, but it'll be up to a tournament and be able to say, we accept a PBA league bowler certified average. If you don't want to, then you don't have to. So it's really going to be up to each tournament. If you want to accept both, and then you can, and you want to choose what you want, it's kind of up to you. I mean,
well, I haven't spoken with my partner yet about it, but I would imagine we're going to use both because there's going to be a lot of bowlers that certify in one or the other. So we can't just say, hey, if you don't have one or the other, you're going to be bowling 220 when you're not a scratch bowler. So we haven't haggled it out yet, but I think it's going to be, we're going to use both, and obviously that'll entail a little bit of more work for myself, but that's a good thing because we want to keep the integrity. So I know there's a million of small questions about that, but I was kind of curious how that was going to be handled. So.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, there's going to be some instances with rules as well where you say, well, this is a USBC league, but it's also a PBA league, so which rules? And most leagues kind of have their own rules to begin with, but there's variations, and they go with them, and then they utilize whichever rule book they want when they make a decision. And I would assume that the USBC leagues would continue to do exactly what they do, and we won't, get in the way of that. And they can have their own option if for some reason as things develop, there's differences that seem more clear than just basic stuff. And I don't think you'll see much in the first year. I think the first year it'll be pretty much the way things have been, and then we'll move on from there. But we'll give leagues options. I mean, we'll give leagues options to do anything they want to do. Obviously, if you are getting an average and you're using a house shot for 6 weeks, and then you use the cheetah for 3 weeks, and then you go back to a house shot, it's going to impact people's averages. And so we have to pay attention to things like that. And we have to create an average database that's fair so that those people can't, take advantage of a lower average that they're getting on more difficult lane conditions. Not that doesn't happen anyway in any kind of league. If it's just a difficult house or a difficult house shot, people sometimes have lower averages than they should have, but we'll be able to kind of measure it, I think, and control it in a way that when you're working in with standards down through the entire organization, and it's all related, and there's an ability to communicate the way that we're going to be able to, because it is this corporate structure of these bowling centers. I think we're going to be able to handle it, but yeah, that's going to be on Neil's desk too. So he'll figure it
out. All right. Well, I might even try to get Neil here in a couple of weeks on here, or maybe in a month when he gets some of this stuff ironed out and you guys are ready to roll it out. Obviously, at first, there's going to be, there's going to be some glitches. This is a huge undertaking with 180,000 bowlers and 301 centers, or whatever the actual total is. So you guys are going to have a lot of questions, I'm sure, and that are even more detail oriented. Stuff's going to come up that we haven't even thought about. So I appreciate you spending some time here and covering it. Luke, we got anything else in the chat here before we either let Mr. Clark go or we grill him a little longer here?
Yeah, I think most of this, this has been very informative. So I don't think that I think that most questions people have right now, you've either answered or, you have yet to develop. So, there's a lot of things, like you said, you can't quite answer right now because you don't exactly know. But logistics it's a lot bigger ordeal than most people think it is, because you guys are asking yourselves the kind of questions that we're getting asked here, along with, hundreds and thousands of other things that most people just won't think of until you're presented with it. So yeah, it's going to be definitely a
I got another
undertaking.
Tom, this pertains to Luke and I only, and probably a handful of other bowlers in the world. Can we win awards with both our right and left hand? Because as you know, both of us have honor scores each.
That'll be a good question. It'll be interesting to see what, clearly in the PBA you can, but whether we allow that in league bowling and how we keep track of averages and how we, that's really the only reason not to allow it, is is if there's going to be handicap in tournaments and assigning averages to people and having them flip over and so that'll be another rules question that I don't think we have finality to yet.
There's only going to be a handful of of people
that
in
may
there.
not be your biggest problem.
No. I'll say this because you guys reach a lot of the bowlers out there, and I didn't read everything. It was impossible to, but I saw enough reaction from people. And one of the things that, and I was very felt good about personally, that there were a lot of people that were saying, we know Tom Clark. We know Tom. We trust Tom. We know that he's kind of got bowling's best interest in mind, and we, when he puts himself out there and has had ideas, some have been great, some haven't been so great, but it's kind of a constant effort. And I really appreciate that people say, well, I trust him, and they might know Neil now, and they say, and we love Neil as a hire. We know he can do that position. There isn't any question about it. But they have like this. They're worried about Bolero or some or things associated with them. And one thing that I hope we can do here moving forward is make people more aware of other staff people at Bolero who are incredible bowling people. I mean, I start with Mike Sleds, who you guys might know. Mike's been involved as a proprietor, he's been involved in every single aspect. He's worked at Brunswick. And then he's been at Bolero since Bolero bought Brunswick Bowling Centers. And he's an incredible, he's the one who really launched Pba Junior. He was the driving force to get that going. And he runs our membership and he runs our product registration fulfillment now. But he's going to be involved with this, and he has been from the start. He's a bowling, person through and through, and really attentive. He loves to talk to everybody, so he's a great guy. Then we have somebody named Michelle Terrell, who she worked for AMF for over 20 years on leagues. She was really the driving force of keeping what they had going at a level that was at a good level. Then Bolero bought all the AMFs, and she came along with them. So she's been in the bowling industry for a long time, has been a big part of developing all the aspects of this, especially the relationship with league pals and knowing what league bowlers across the country want and can help their statistics and things. And we have and then there's some really great executives that are helped take Bolero from one bowling center in New York and turn it into this gigantic traded property, with investors and major, almost a $1 billion company, and all these bowling centers and all of the aspects of everything. And it's all new. So I know that there's some centers that are better than others. And I think that there's going to be an eye on improving the centers, especially on the, particularly in the system of bowling area, from the approach to the pin setters, and I think you're going to see a lot of improvement in those areas and attention to the types of things that bowlers care about. In addition to already, having the food and beverage and the fun and the leagues and the parties that they are experts at hosting. So, Bolero has a lot of good people involved, and clearly we're going to be bringing new ones on because we need more people to make this program really fly. So I think you'll probably see some other pretty good announcements soon about new people coming in to be a part of this thing. So no, it's really exciting. I really appreciate you guys talking about it. Hopefully I explained it okay. I don't know. I better get good at it pretty soon here because I think you're the first people that I've really talked to outside of our group that's been launching it and then writing a press release and putting it all together and saying, here's what we're going to do. This is what's coming. And now we've got there's a lot of work to be done, as you said.
Yeah, there is. And to be perfectly honest, obviously when you see stuff online, I'll kind of make this like my closing statement on this. First of all, I learned a lot. I learned there's a lot more to it than, hey, they're just allowing league bowlers to bowl. I didn't know a lot of this stuff that you brought to the table that's involved in that. So I'm enlightened on that right now, just knowing that how much there's involved. And not that the PBA online and everybody gets their fair share of criticism, but Bolero and USBC and some leadership at times does get some negative stuff. So I think this is going to help out Bolero here in our town, especially when it was King Louis originally, and then to AMF, and then to Bolero. We had 16 centers in our town, and unfortunately, we only have one now. So there's a little bit of that stigma attached with that, and I think some of the things they're doing now is going to help alleviate that from some of the people that are negative about the sport and sometimes negative in certain situations about certain corporations. So I think this is a big step, probably bigger than I even imagined. Like I said, just from the small stuff that I knew about it, but knowing the full scope of this and what you guys are planning to do, I think it's a great thing.
Awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think bowling has been working very. It's not like everything's been skyrocketing to the top. I mean, we've been fighting for a long time with trying to figure out how to grow membership, not have it go down, or figure out how to grow ratings and not have them come down, and figure out ways to make the game aspirational and to inspire people and to bring new people into the game and get them to come out to the bowling center. And I think that this is all done with that in mind. I don't think there's a lot of one thing I've read a lot of was, it's a money grab, or it's just, they just want to make. We're not even charging. It's it's really interesting the level of investment in the game. And I think one thing I'm also working on, of course, is the 2023 Pba Tour season, and I'm really hoping that we can make some really cool announcements about the Pba Tour next year that will be connected in a lot of ways with what's going on around the country in league bowling. And so it's a pretty cohesive plan that will morph as we find out problems or ideas other people will have, and continue to try to keep everything together and work to promote the game and get more people involved. And I really want to get involved with coaching. Hopefully the PBA has always been something I felt like, from a pro shop standpoint and ambassadors and coaches, that if we can get the PBA players a little bit more involved with people's games, that they'll just love the game more and want to bowl more and buy more equipment. And so I think that's going to be a big step too. So no, it's pretty exciting. I appreciate the chance to talk to a few people here, and if as people have questions, definitely send them in, and we'll just keep track of everything and try to get back to everybody and try to address everything. We've already gotten a bunch of different ideas from you tonight and from people when the announcement came out to say, oh, we better handle that, we better do that, we better do that. So definitely want to listen to the bowler and make them happy and make them want to enjoy bowling.
Well, I think that's one of the big things that you have going for you here too. Like this comment I put up on the screen. I applaud everything you're doing, Tom. Like you were talking earlier about, people generally trusting you. You're very transparent. You're very candid. Sometimes you have to put out press releases or you have to put out statements whenever you don't want to get too far into the gray areas for several different reasons. But instead of kind of putting out a statement and then hiding behind it or something, you say, okay, well, yeah, I mean, this is a problem, or we got to do something about this. You address it, and people feel comfortable when they feel like you're being transparent and honest with them. And I think that's a big thing that's a big help, or a big thing that I think people trust you to do. And so that's going to be helpful going forward. I got one here. I'm not sure if you can answer this yet, but people, will there be physical awards down the line? That might be something kind of.
I think there might be immediately some, but it's mostly going to be a digital communication. But But yes, there will be some. Someone asked me a question about where people should send their questions, and I would go to
Tom Clark's Facebook page.
PR at pba.com. PR at pba.com. No, that's really not the right place, but it won't hurt if it goes there. I was trying to find what we put into that release. I thought it said it in the release sometime, somewhere about where to write for your questions, but there probably is a spot on pba.com too, which is going to go through some improvements as well. There's a lot of areas where we're aware of, in the youth, in the stages of the PBA changing hands. Some areas need to continue to improve, and everybody knows which ones they are, and so we're working on them too as well.
All right, I was looking at the press release, and it as far as press inquiries, it's using PR at PBA.com. So,
if anybody on this call, go ahead, just write that.
Yes, there.
You'll get the right. I mean, it is a PR inquiry in a way. I mean, so just write that, and we'll hit you up. Whoop. Boy, see, now this is a perk of my job. I don't know if you can see this, but I've got a phone call coming in, and see who it's from.
Carmen, you put him on.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Tom, how you doing, babe?
I'm good. I'm on a podcast right now, and they wanted to hear you. They wanted to hear you say hi. I'm on a TV. I'm on a show talking about. Yeah, you say hi to these guys.
Where's the place? What state?
They're in
we're in
Kansas.
Kansas. Yeah, we're in Kansas. The Bowler Show.
Carmen.
Kansas
City.
Yeah.
Carmen, you've been on the Bowler Show before. This is Dave Waswo.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hey, hello, Kansas City. A lot of bowling over there.
All right. Well, I'm writing your number down right now that you've got. I need to get you back on the show at some point, sir.
Difficult as much as I bowl there. Mark Roth beat me out of a tournament, so it was hard to forget. But I still love Kansas City.
All right, guys. I'm going to talk to.
I'm not there. I could use some fun. It's been boring sitting around the house when you get 88 years old. You can't bowl like you used to. Psychologically, it drives you a little crazy. Well, now I'm driving my wife crazy too.
I thought he was 86. All right, I'm going to talk to Carmen, guys.
All right,
Tom, thanks again, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. That was PBA Commissioner Tom Clark with a nice little impromptu from Carmen Salvino. Unfortunately, his number did not show there, and I wasn't able to grab it. I used to have it, and we had Carmen on the show one day, and he's just like any of the greats.
He said he's bored and driving his wife crazy, so, I mean, if that doesn't say have me on the show, I don't know what will.
Maybe we should just call Tom and cancel the second hour and put Carmen Salvino. No offense to Aaron Smith and James Niffen, but Carmen's been on the show, and I mean, we spent 45 minutes, and he could have spent 2 or 3 hours, and he just he's so polite too. He kept saying, every time he would answer a question, he'd say, "Well, David, and he would just he'd use your name and sir and stuff. It's just to remind you of what it used to be like in the game. Luke, we missed probably the greatest question that really the commissioner would have had no idea what it meant, but I don't know if you saw early on in the chat the question from Steve G. He wanted me to ask. I can barely get this out. Who his least favorite commissioner to cross with is. So, Steve, I would have answered or asked him that, but he would have had no idea what that meant. But that was very creative. So keep sending in questions like that. That was funny because I saw that and I thought, hey, that is funny, but it really, Tom wouldn't have really understood it, but. That's a funny question because actually I'm not sure I can use that tonight. Aaron and James, who's your? Well, I guess I could ask James.
You can ask James who is least favorite person to cross with in Kansas City tournament.
You sure you want me to ask him that?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
he'll be okay because he'll probably tell you.
He'd probably name the names out loud. So
Riley Patton at Royal Crest. I think that's his that's his least favorite person. Well, he'd be
as
crossing
his partner
with,
or in a doubles
partner,
term.
as his partner. At Olathe East, it's a different story.
All right, well, that was a lot of fun. Obviously, Tom gave us a broader view, really, and kind of answered some of my questions when you stepped out for a second. We talked about Kansas City tournaments, how I was going to handle it. I still don't know what we're going to do exactly, Luke, as far as our tournaments, because if people are certified in one and not the other, or if they're certified in both, we'll be using their highest average, I guess. Mike and I have got to kind of sit down and talk about that, because that could be a game changer for how we handle averages.
Yeah,
and,
there's
for people who bowl in Belair only, especially.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff going forward. Jonathan and I are going to plug our show a little bit on the Breakdown Pair tomorrow night. We're going to be talking back and forth about that, because there's a lot of things. It's like, well, if the PBA league certification has their own set of specifications, requirements for lane conditions, whatever else, and if they differ from USBC's, I'm sure that they're going to overlap significantly, because that's something that Neil is. I think that's object number one for Neil is to. I'm sure he's got most of it memorized already, because he was the guy that wrote most of it, I think. But the USBC rules and certifications, and he's going to see what they really need to overlap on, because it could be interesting from a bowling ball design point of view, because if they. Like Tom said, they're going to be talking to the manufacturers, because if PBA has a different kind of set of, okay, well, we'll let you have differentials up to 070, or we'll let you do this, or, we'll let you have weight holes back.
Right.
This could be really interesting for people that don't just bowl one or the other, or some people that that want to bowl both nationals. So obviously going to USBC is, no weight holes. We got this, we got that. If PBA allows it, then you could end up having, two different sets of equipment almost, or it could affect how there's a lot of things to kind of debate back and forth. And it's all in their head. They're not going to, I think people are worried they're going to know, what about this or what about this? I'm sure that they've been thinking on this for a while. And of course, the big thing with Neil Stremmel being he's going to be thinking about all this stuff because he's the guy. I mean, he's just the guy when it comes to that.
Well, we'll get him on here in a couple of weeks or in a month, and you can X out Angel's question there in the chat there.
Or you
can highlight. I have no problem with this, because Aaron Ramsden's always testing me on whether that's an ASEM or a SEM, and now I know the trick with the third little mark on the ball. That kind of ruined it a little bit, because I just don't know. I'm just not that good at it. And to be honest, Angel, I do not know what differential or RG 2.48 versus whatever. But that's a good point, and we didn't really get into that, and it's way too early, Luke. But different bowling balls with different specifications. Are they going to be product registered two different ways through USBC? Yeah. I mean, there's a million things, and we can write all that stuff down. Of course, talk to Neil about it. But thank you, Angel, for that thoughtful question. Angel is our producer, and she's having a little fun here. And actually, I didn't mention her earlier, so she's probably unhappy.
And that could be another thing with talking about taking the highest average, whether somebody bowls it. Well, if the PBA has more stringent qualifications on their conditions. If they have more stringent conditions, well, they could have, there's all kinds of overlap and whatever else. So at a 200 in a, PBA league bowler certified league versus an average, maybe even in the same center, they theoretically could have a USBC certified league in the center that you bowl, and then you could bowl a PBA. But if they have different standards for lane conditions, you could have two different averages, even if the person bowls with the same people on the same end of the house. And there's all kinds of stuff going on. So,
all right, well, we've got all kinds of stuff going on here. Also, I just got a message from Lenny Borsch, who won the U.S. Senior Open. He's at the PBA 50 event in Odessa, Texas. Trying to find out if he won or not. He made the show from way back. He is not going to be able to make it on the show. Tom Hess, I'll just leave it at that. Tom Hess is driving with him, and they've got a lot of stuff going on. So I'm ask him if he won. So we're going to find that out for you.
Yeah,
I see Aaron Smith's already in the queue. So Aaron, if you're listening currently and you're ready, give us the thumbs up real quick.
yeah.
All right, give us a minute. We're going to take a moment and play a commercial, and then we'll get back to you here, and we'll get you started early on. That'll give you and Mr. Niffen a little more time to talk shop.
Oh.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to get a question or a commercial in here for BobbyJacksons.com. Bob Foster doing a great job with them.
Pba Jackson's Trading is the place to sell all your unwanted precious metals, including broken gold and silver jewelry. They also buy old silver and gold coins, so check them out for all your buying and selling needs. Also, did you know that Pba Jackson's Trading pays top dollar for your unwanted gift cards? You know the ones your grandma got you for Christmas? Pba Jackson's Trading is located on 23rd Street, just one block east of Noland Road in Independence, Missouri. They're open 7 days a week. Check them out at BobbyJacksons.com or give Bob Foster a call at 816-463-1919. That's 816-463-1919.
All right, check out Bob Foster there at BobbyJacksons.com. And also, he's going to have a league starting here for the winter. This bracket madness thing is crazy. He's got 90-some bowlers at Lunar Bowl.
Yeah, so it used to be just a summer only thing. Now it's big enough that
it's morphing into. It's got a different format for summer versus winter, but it's still popular. And he does a great job. He gives back and never asks for anything. So, other than an occasional drink or taco for me for all of his hard work, but
get him his own hot dog cart.
Speaking of that, just while you brought that up before we bring on the man who's out in the town that has the hot dogs. Yeah. The official number I put on the post was 4.5 for over under, and actually disappointingly, it ended up being 4.
I'm gonna try to beat that.
Well, you got to stay. The buffet got in our way.
Yeah,
we went to the buffet a couple of times, and I accumulated some free buffets from some of my losses. We'll just say that. So it kept the number under. Most people guessed from 10 to 60. Actually, I think Jeremy LaFollette guessed 10, so he's the official winner of. Actually, Jeremy, meet me at Summit Lanes, at least Summit, and we will get you a couple of free hot dogs if you happen to be listening to the show. But Luke, before we bring on our next guest, I kind of updated him on our schedule here for July, and then I told him, I said, hey, from August on, we're going to be on every week, and he's like, well, what do you need me for? And I was like, oh wow, the tournament is over. So I hadn't even thought about how fast this is going, and you bowl in the last weekend, and
July, it's only a couple weeks off. We'll
get Aaron on the show on the 24th, and he can wrap up everything and do virtual Eagles. But he is ready to go, so let's bring him in. Aaron Smith, welcome back to the Bowler Show, sir.
Hello, gentlemen. Great to see you once again. Hope things have been well since we've last kicked this off. As you can see, Dave, the sign is behind me once again. It's been retaped though, so we should be good to go for the show.
All right, well that eases my mind, and as we're joking, I want to thank you once again for allowing us to do that. Not only allowing us to do the show from your office, but you basically being the go-between to get going out and getting the bowlers, getting into the secret area of the office, and chaperoning them in and out. I appreciate all the work you did, and it's actually showed Luke and I that I don't even need to necessarily be on site for the show to work. So once again, thank you very much for everything you did for us last week.
Certainly glad to help. I always enjoy getting to see you when you're in town. And obviously, I'm all about making the show, all about promoting bowling here. So, you had some great folks join. I know Wes Pye, Mark Anderson, then Spencer. Now Spencer's off in Sweden right now for Junior Team USA. So a lot of cool things there. So more than happy to help the show.
Yeah, I don't know if you were up at 12:30 at night the last night I was there, but Spencer wanted to bowl a 12:30 squad of the Bowlers Journal. Couldn't get any of his friends to do it, so he got down to me. We combined for 12:27, by the way. Don't know if that was article worthy or not, and we don't discuss the singular scores, so don't even ask. So, but that just showed Spencer's dedication to the sport. The guy had a 5 o'clock flight that morning, and at 12:30, what's he want to do? Well, I want to take another crack at strike pot. I want to, take another crack at the lead, and it just shows his dedication, and he's way beyond his years. We could talk forever about him, but Spencer Robards gets it.
Could not agree more. Obviously, we've gotten to know him pretty well. since he was about 12, winning junior gold in 2015 in the U12 division was kind of our national introduction to Spencer. But yeah, he's an incredible young man who's going to do and has already done so many great things in the sport, and just a great ambassador for it as well. Won the Chuck Hall Star of Tomorrow Award, which was presented at convention back in April as well. And obviously the big things he's doing at Wichita State and now Junior Team USA as well. The Master Show back in 2021. It's pretty crazy to think that he's going to be a sophomore in college and has already put together this resume. And we, on our side, definitely can't wait to see what the future holds for young Spence.
Yeah. All right, and we talked about you wrapping up everything here after the tournament's over here in a couple of weeks when we have you on. What's Aaron Smith doing after that? I always kidded Matt about, hey, now you got 8 months off. What are you going to do with your free time? Obviously, you've got other duties, and you had other duties before taking over here. But what's next for Aaron Smith after the Bowler Show and the OC wraps up?
Well, the final few days of the OC, obviously, we're going to be tracking Luke's score and see if he's going to make a run at the lead in the division or two here. But we kind of prepare for that final day and that that final squad. The final ball rolls down the lane, and then it's going to be myself and our tournament director Greg Moore. Kind of getting to do the best thing in bowling and is getting to call the folks who have won Eagles this year and kind of let them know that, hey, it's official, everything's good to go. And then from there, we'll talk to them, get some, initial thoughts from the experience of, waiting it out, becoming champions, winning. For some folks, it might be, a return trip. Brian Walczyk's a 3-time winner. For other folks, it might be their first one. So that's all in the excitement, and also seeing what folks are doing and how they're kind of prepping for that final day. There's been times when there's been parties playing, everyone's watching live scoring for that final squad, getting ready, hoping for that phone call to come. And then other folks are, in the shower or off walking the dog. So there's been a little bit of a variety in those phone calls as well. So sometimes we catch them, sometimes we don't. But either way, we have the opportunity to talk to them, put together a final recap story on the tournament. And then, after that, it's time to pack up and get stuff going for Reno. So all this office that you saw, Dave, all this world is going to be making its way outside. Maybe the desk. I think the desks stay here. And probably the sign, too. The sign's probably, with as much as it got taped, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. But everything else is going to go to Reno, the National Bowling Stadium for the 2023 event. And, with that, the equipment obviously is heading that way. I'll take a couple of days to get ready for, just kind of the to wrap up party, get all that stuff, kind of exhale after the Open Championships is done, enjoy Vegas one last time, and then hit the road back to Texas because the PWBA final events, the Classic Series in Dallas at USA Bowl, is right there in early August. So I'm planning to be back on the PWBA tour for that, helping out the crew that's done such a phenomenal job already this season. So that's kind of the next thing coming up for me after it's all said and done. Kind of get through middle of August, and then I'm totally going to hit the reset button. Change the email return to please contact someone else because I'm going to be off the grid for a week or two after that. But yeah, those are kind of the next few weeks once the tournament wraps up. We still have some work to do here just to kind of conclude everything. But then it'll be PWBA time and then some time to relax after that.
All right. Well, much deserved time off, and we got a funny question in the chat about if the hot dog cart is going to Reno. I can answer that. Unfortunately, it will not be, or at least I don't think it would bring it out for a one-time thing for me. But Aaron, when I was out there, Clancy Muller is part of our group. Broke the 100,000 pin barrier, and there's a lot of fun things that happen when you have dignitaries come to town, including people like myself. But nothing tops when you guys stop and the whole side knew what he needed in that first frame to break the record of 100. Well, not the record, but break the barrier of 100,000 pins. To me, those are some of the best moments. And I know for you, you go along, you muddle along, and then all of a sudden something like this happens, and then it makes everything worthwhile.
It's and I started to think and talking to folks after the fact that I think this was only the second one I've been in the building being part of. I've seen, I saw the record from Bill Lillard get broken in 2015, but I think this was only the second ceremony I've been at during my time here off and on at the Open Championships. So it was definitely everybody, all hands on deck situation. We're all counting it down as Clancy's getting closer and closer. We were hoping it was going to be game 2. He needed a strike on his fill ball. He got 8, which made the math very easy heading into game number 3. It was, and we were ready for it. I was in the pit, videotaping the 10th frame of game 2, and he knew the number he had to get to. He knew he needed that strike, but Clancy just kind of in the laid back, loose manner that he was exhibiting all week. Just kind of laughed it off. And he's like, you know what? I've been waiting 61 years for this. What's another 2 minutes? So he went ahead, got 8 on his next shot, picked up the spare like a champ, and it was time to celebrate. We stopped bowling. As you were there on the other side of the bowling plaza. And that's the only thing that ever stops bowling outside of emergency alarms or anything crazy like that going off is 100,000 pins. That's how important that is to tournament history. The coveted crystal pin being presented to Clancy. He didn't want to say too many words. Well, that would have been a good one too. But it's something super special for the staff here. I know a lot of folks who we're looking forward to this, who came in on their days off just to watch this happen because it's that special of a moment at the Open Championship. So it was great for us. We got to hear some great stories from Clancy along the way as well on our recap on bowl.com. So very, very special moment. We don't get to it's only the 25th ever, so it's not something we get to do quite as regularly as 50-year presentations, 55, 60, all those great participation milestones as well. 100,000,
25-year too,
and 25 years, of course. And congratulations, Dave. By the way, I'm sorry I wasn't there to present it to you, but
very disappointed, but that's okay.
But yeah, something just incredible about the tournament. Something that gives you goosebumps, even just talking about it right now. What it took to get there over the course of that many years, all the trips, all the experiences, all the great stories, all the laughs, and potentially some of the tough times along the way too. You have to have those ups and downs throughout a career that lasts 60 plus years. So just congratulations again to Clancy on a phenomenal accomplishment, and I believe we're going to be able to celebrate this achievement again in 2023 in Reno. So we got 1 or 2 players who are very close to the number as well. So we look forward to celebrating some more crystal pins next year.
Yeah, we had a spy in the crowd checking his score, letting us know, because we all anticipated the shutdown, and that's part of the deal. It's just you're going to do that because it deserves that. But we did have one guy in our group who ended up with 29 clean frames, and I'll let you guess which frame that he did not mark in. And he actually went to Clancy and he kidded him about it. And obviously after the layoff, he got back out and he split, and that was his only miss. So if you could upgrade him to 30, I'll talk to you off the air about that. I'd really appreciate it.
Oh, man. That might be out of my jurisdiction right there, but I know some folks you can talk to. So
hey, it's better that he did that. It's a great story. You can tell everybody the time he shot 29 clean, and the only reason he didn't, he had a little bit of a weight because
Clancy
it was
Clancy ruined it for him.
He went up to Clancy. That was funny though when Clancy did say, "Hey, now you see why it took so long," because he was struggling there towards the end. But the first set, I think he might have beat me. I know the first 2 games of team, he was ahead of me. It was like 370 after 2, and I'm like, this is slightly embarrassing, but it is what it is. I have fun out there, and that stigma's always going to be with me. Even this year when the lanes were softer. And I felt like I had a good look after they broke down. I had a really good look. I just didn't capitalize, and I missed pretty much every other spare I looked at. So it was my own fault. But that's enough about me. Actually, that's about all I have for you, Aaron. So let's see what Luke's got here. I know he is preparing for his time. I tried to explain a little bit to him, but he's bowling left-handed, so it's almost a moot point. Me telling him anything, even though him and I can relate. I had some lefties bowl with me, but Luke is coming your way, so you can roll out the red carpet for him.
Yeah, see, I'm going to get So what I'm going to do is Rhino Page and Trevor Baumgartner are bowling together, and they're going to be there. They're bowling team the day before we do, and so I'm going to go watch that and get a master class on that. So that should be pretty interesting. But on second thought, if I don't go watch, then I will at least have something to blame my performance on, because if I do go watch and then shoot a Dave Waswo score, then
I'm blaming Clancy Muller and these layouts that Clint can get. I'm blaming everything I can. The hospitality that wasn't there. Aaron wasn't there. Every shot. Actually, Aaron came down and did black cloud me once.
Yeah.
I think I went 9 out triple one game, and I flagged the head pin. I looked up, and there was Aaron, and he's I walked by one shot and crippled you. You couldn't even throw it. So
no, I mean, Dave, I do have your score sheet right here.
now we're you can put that up. Put that up there for a second.
It was the fifth frame, game one of doubles. I had looked over because we were in full Clancy watch mode, and you went. I didn't see what you did in the first frame. You opened, but then you had 3 in a row. I'm like, okay, this is a good time. He's feeling good. He's feeling the flow, doing the bull dance, having a good time out there. And then yes, you proceeded to miss the head pin, and then also not hit it on the second shot. And then you yelled at me, and I walked away, and I didn't watch another shot the rest of the time.
Fun fact about that head pin: the first game of team, I missed the head pin 5 times, and one time I missed the lane completely. But I was clean that game. My first game in team, if you'll look back, I had a 185 clean game, and then you'll see the next game I threw 3 strikes, and all 3 were Brooklyn. And the funny part is I'm working all this stuff with Jazz now. I'm throwing it terrible, but I'm staying clean and getting breaks. And then I figured out how to throw it, and then I stopped scoring. So it was a strange week all the way around. Actually, I kind of left this out before we get to Luke. We talked about Clancy. What else happened this week here before we kind of need to do our job here? What else happened this week out there that we should know about?
Well, we've had some big scores. We talked about when the show was going on. Obviously, we had the front 9. I believe we got up to front 10 before a 9-pin snuck in there. But we have ended the 300 drought. So that's done. Anthony Simonson, that guy, the Anthony Simonson, was able to end it. His final game, a team event, about 10 days ago. Simon was able to capitalize for all 12. And then just 3 days ago, Devin Williams out of Alaska was able to start his singles event with all 12. And he definitely left little to no doubt about it in his 10th frame. He was just crunching pins left and right, so the messengers all over the place. It was going to get done because no pin was standing after the fact. Devin, bowling his first year at the Open Championships, happened to join a group that was made up of all former and current collegiate players from Lindenwood University, including Brad Miller and Kyle Sherman. But he fit right in with the group, and obviously striking a bunch is a good way to make a great first impression. He was able to do that. Finished with 755. Caught some bad breaks actually in singles in game 2. He shot 197, but had a 710 and a 49 sneak in there. So he could have been pushing pretty close to 800 if he had caught some hits there. But overall, a great experience out of the gates for Devin. And then last night, I get the text late from Gene Koenig, who's working with us now out here, that Cameron Foster, originally out of Utah, now lives in Iowa, had got to 804 in doubles. Threw all 3 in the 10th to seal the deal, 279 that last game. So for Cameron, all he does is shoot honor scores at big-time events. 2019 U.S. Open in North Carolina, 300. 300 last year at the OC at the South Point Bowling Center. So Waz, you might have been there for that. I'm not sure when it was in June last year. So I don't know if you were gone already. Yeah. But shot 300 in singles and now an 800 here as well. So back-to-back years with honor scores for Cameron. He's also the head bowling coach of the men's program over at William Penn over there in Iowa. So a big shout out to everything Cameron's doing for the sport as well. But pretty cool to come back-to-back years with honor scores here at the OC.
Well, real quick, I was not out there at the time. Obviously, he wouldn't have finished it off. I would have clouded him to where he wouldn't have shot 300. But I think you figured something out. It wasn't just some of the other excuses I had. I bowled during the the May 30th to June 16th-ish great drought of 2022 time. So I think the gods were just against me. I was there when I couldn't pop off a couple of 300s. So it is interesting that you got to 30 or 31 so fast with 300s, and then there was quite a dry spell, but that's just an anomaly of the tournament. And I have talked way too much here. Let's turn this over to Luke for a while.
All right, I am gonna try some of the hot dogs here and see if that helps me out.
Yeah, that worked well for me. So.
Yeah. So, but I mean, there's so much, like you were saying, there's so much stuff at South Point. Like people say, oh, we stay here, we stay there. We stay at South Point every year, and there's so much stuff there. I don't even think about hot dog because my dad likes Italian stuff, so we go to Vito's, and then my wife and I both like sushi, so we go down to the sushi place, the Mexican restaurant upstairs, or on the second level, I guess. They got all kinds of things all
What's
over
that thing
the place
called
there.
with all the foods all at once? You can grab as much as you
Yeah, the
want.
buffet.
Oh, the buffet.
Yeah,
That's where I am.
Yeah, we definitely hit the buffet.
That
a
hurt
couple
my hot
times,
dog
so,
count.
yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Anyway, I did want to ask what the takeover or the transition has been like. So obviously, Matt did it for so long, and you've worked with Matt for so long. But now that you are Matt, how is that? How has that kind of gone for you?
It's been definitely some ups and downs along the way, trying to, first and foremost, I wasn't necessarily scheduled to be out at the Open Championships this year. So I was going to be traveling a lot with Bowl TV, with, PWBA, the Intercollegiate Team and Singles Championships. And then obviously with the announcement of PBA 50, I was going to be pretty involved with that as well. So definitely a big change to my summer plans. But, overall, it definitely was, tough to kind of get going those first couple of weeks. Obviously, the work itself is something I'm familiar with, having worked the Open Championships a couple of times with Matt. So, I was the work wasn't necessarily new, but trying to juggle a couple of things. We've had a couple of, new additions here at USBC as well along the way. So, working to kind of get everybody up to speed and, trying to work with that. And, the toughest part is trying to, just find enough time for, I'm still working with the women's championships and the staff over there. So a big shout out to Donovan and Justin for all the help they've been able to put together over there. Right now I'm working with Kendra Cameron Curry, who's our Team USA director. She's overseas in Sweden right now, sending all the updates, for the U21 World Championships going on. So, we're doing our best to kind of work together to make things happen as a collective unit. So a big thank you just to all those folks who have made that happen. But, we've kind of settled into a rhythm. So I've kind of, I'm the daytime guy now for the most part. So that's why I wasn't around for Dave's 25th celebration and wasn't able to present him with his plaque and an honorary hot dog with it. It was because that was my time not to be at South Point. So, I've tried my best to kind of separate the times when I'm here and not here. It's pretty unique though, living in a casino for more than 5 days or a week or something like that. So that's been a little bit of an interesting transition as well. But overall, we're definitely we're doing all right. It's kind of business as usual now. So just trying to do what we do, kind of follow the game plan that Matt had done and set forth for all these years, and just kind of hopefully live up to the legacy of it. But the main goal at the end of the day is highlight this great event. Showcase the bowlers for the great performances and the stories they have out there, and inform the fans of the Open Championships and the folks who follow the tournament out of all the good stuff that's going on over here. So just very thankful for all the folks who have pitched in along the way as well to take some of the burden off of me from time to time with just kind of all the things that we do work on and handle here at USBC as far as the communications department goes. So we're, I'm just very thankful for everyone who's been able to help along the way.
We might have to, just had this thought, we might have to, we were talking about the crystal pen with the 100,000 pins and stuff. We might have to get Matt like a crystal hot dog or something.
He's, I feel he's seen probably that many 300s here over his, nearly 20 years at the Open Championships. So has covered X amount of 300s and 800s and all that. So, but yeah, Matt's the absolute superstar of the Open Championships, and will continue to be so. Just with the legacy and so much of this, the things that we're going to do and continue to do at this tournament, was put together by Matt. Even things that aren't necessarily communications PR. When you pass that trophy case, that was a Matt Cannizzaro idea. So that great display, obviously Matt didn't put it together, but the vision of making that happen was something that came from Matt Cannizzaro. So his legacy is still going to be with this tournament, many years down the road.
I think I'll put together I'll get Matt to bowl next year. I think him and I are going to put together a mega team, because I have to break away from our group because they're wanting to bowl Memorial Day, and I've got stuff going on. So maybe I'll get with Matt. We'll see if he wants to bowl, and we'll put together a mega team and pull down an eagle. It'll be just that easy with my previous scores at the national tournament. So
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, you got anything else for us? I know this is bittersweet. We were only going to have a couple of more shows with you. Like I said, we checked in with Matt from time to time during his off times in between the OC, and especially yourself. You do a lot of stuff with Bowl TV. You're going to be doing plenty of other events, so we'll definitely check back with you. But as far as what you do here for us, we've only got a couple of weeks left, so we got to make it count.
That we do, and I will. And I feel next time we talk, we may have a couple of new things to talk about as well. With Bowl Expo going on, I think a lot of folks getting into town today. We have kind of another influx of, similar to Masters a little bit earlier in the year, where and Senior Masters just a couple of weeks ago, Super Senior Classic, all that stuff. Folks trying to tie in an appearance at the Open Championships with other events going on in Las Vegas. So we're going to see some big names rolling through here in the next couple of days. Even yesterday we had a video, Frank Testa shooting 298, a 1271 team effort. There were one of 3 teams to shoot 3,300 plus on that squad yesterday. So we got some big names coming up for doubles and singles a little bit later tonight. We talked about mentioned Luke on the left side. We got Nathan Stubler and Cameron Crowe. And for folks who are big fans of collegiate bowling, I really don't need to say anything else, but that powerhouse duo from St. Ambrose, they were part of a team that went 33, I think 3380 was the total last night, along with a couple of past champions, Anthony Jordan, Pete Spreadberry as well with that group. So they're going to be on the lanes tonight. But then we have Chris Prather coming up in a couple of days. He's with a phenomenal team. Alex Aguiar is part of that group. Sean Rash bowling tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. He's joining a strong group. Chad Kloss, who's another phenomenal player who's had a lot of success here at the Open. Looking ahead, Kyle Troop's going to be on the lanes coming up in a couple of days. Jacob Buttriff, I heard, is making his way over as well. So a lot of folks taking advantage of the opportunity to bowl the Open Championships while they're in town here in Vegas. So next time we talk, we might have a couple more honor scores, a couple of lead changes. Who knows? Coming up next. So definitely not. We're not to the end yet, folks. So we're excited to see what transpires in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be ready to report about it.
All right. Well, Brian Wolochek, you've been put on notice. You're going to have to watch these scores real close. And he said towards the end he probably would be, especially with those types of names coming in. If they pop off 700 plus in team, then he's definitely going to have to worry a little bit. So, all right, Aaron, we'll let you take off. I know you got a million things going on. Once again, appreciate your time with us, and appreciate everything you did for us last week when we invaded your office. Basically, I kicked you out of there and said, "Hey, go get me some bowlers," and you did that. And once again, we appreciate it.
Always glad to help, guys, and always very honored to join you on the show. So I appreciate it. You guys have a great week, and until next time, take care.
All right. Yeah. Take care, Aaron. Thank you. All righty. Once again, Aaron Smith, live from Las Vegas, live from our studios last week.
Yeah,
that was an interesting deal. That was really fun to do. And actually, he had nice microphone, nice equipment. Everything was not that we don't, because we do.
Yeah.
But he had a nice setup for his office there, which obviously you see it each and every week. But me sitting there, it was kind of fun. And as he said, the sign's still up that I stuck back up there with a little help.
Yeah,
So
it stayed up there the whole time.
you saw the sign go down there during the show. And but anyway, the show was fun last week. And like I said, Aaron's got 1,000 other things he needs to worry about than us doing the show from his office, and he took care of it. He brought the guests in and out. Obviously, we're back in an office area, so he needed to bring them in and bring them out, and we do appreciate that. So enough about these dignitaries that we've had on the show. Let's get a nobody on here in just a couple of minutes. He smiles in the queue there. He knows I'm kidding with him. He's a man so dedicated to the sport.
Aaron might be writing about this guy here in
hey, there's an unknown
Yeah.
guy he doesn't know about that could be sneaking into town. But this gentleman bowled our tournaments last year, Luke, as you know, and he lived in North Carolina, and he made our top 36. That was his goal. He did it, and now that he's here in town, he's going to be bowling more, and he's probably going to try to chase the top 36 here towards the end. So why don't you take over this interview? This is a gentleman you know very well and you've interacted many times with, and I really don't care to.
Gentlemen. Oh, and Dave, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah. No more nice intros like that for you ever again, sir.
Okay, that is fair enough.
Did we say his name even at that point? Did we sneak that in or not? People know
James
some
Kniffen.
people Kniffen, some are
emphasis
Niffen.
on emphasis on the K.
The K is silent. Thank you very much.
He is silent, as I should be right now. So anyway, James, thank you for joining us. Obviously, you and Luke talk a lot about bowling. You guys are very close. So I'm going to kind of bow out of this conversation. So this will probably be the highest ratings we have on the show. So I'll just let you and Luke talk shop. Obviously, you guys are both heading to the Nationals soon. So
y'all are clearly dredging through the bottom of the barrel to get me on here. So whatever it takes, I'm happy with it.
Yeah. I mean, we talked to a bunch of other people. They couldn't make it, so we had some show to film.
Yeah, man, it happens. I get it. It's show business, right?
Somebody needs to get in Discord and tag everybody. This could say, hey, James is on the show now.
Get in there real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, how come he has headphones and I don't? That's what I want to know first. I should have headphones on.
Yeah.
Of some sort. He's a gamer though too, right? Is he a gamer?
Yeah, kind of.
Marginally. I work from home, so this is actually pretty much my home work setup that I'm on right now. So, webcam, nice mic, headphones, whole 9 yards. A little easier.
Welcome to the Kansas City area. Now I've got my sheet here in front of you. Are you bowling July 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th?
I'm bowling the 4th only, so I think y'all referenced this a minute ago. I'm actually flying out tomorrow night to Las Vegas for a Nationals. I bowl on the 30th, on June 30th and July 1st. Flying back late night on the 2nd, and I just moved out here literally 6 days ago. So I was doing battle with an IKEA desk yesterday and have a few war wounds from that on my hand. So, including one right on the back of my thumb. So perfect timing on that. But no, it's just so much going on. I kind of wanted to take a little bit of a rest, but I saw y'all had a tournament at Olathe on the 4th, and that place is basically a personal ATM for me. So I figured I'd sign up for that and see what happens.
Yeah. When Riley bowls with you, right?
Normally he and I bowl doubles a lot. Yeah, but this is singles on the 4th, I believe. So unfortunately I have to carry myself for that one.
Yeah. We'll see how you do. Anyway, enough about me. I'm gonna bow out and let you guys have at it.
Yeah, John Lander wants to know where your oar is at.
That is in a box somewhere in the living room. I haven't gotten to it yet. So
yeah. So anyway, so for all these people that are watching that don't know what's going
watching.
On, yeah. James is, like you said, lived in Raleigh, North Carolina for a while. Big into UBA bowling, just bowling, period. So you bowl all kinds of stuff. You started bowling regionals, and so just kind of give people a little bit of breakdown of who you are and kind of why you're in Kansas City now.
Yeah, absolutely. So like Luke said, I've been a really passionate bowler for a very, very long time. Actually lived in Raleigh literally my entire life until last week when I kind of decided to pull up roots a little bit and move out here to Kansas City. As far as my bowling history, I got into it when I was 10 years old, I believe, and just through a homeschoolers league at the local center, and just got hooked from there. Was bowling decently competitively through high school and kind of burnt out when I got to college. and ended up taking 6 years off. And then you fast forward to 2014, some friends asked me to go bowling again, and they had no idea that I used to bowl competitively. Grabbed my shoes and a couple bowling balls that still somehow fit. I actually still have both of them somewhere in the pile over there. Bowled pretty well and got hooked from there. Ended up, I think, Luke, you mentioned earlier, bowling UBA and Federation. Those have kind of brought out some very interesting opportunities. If you jump on Flow Bowling and search for my name, just search for James, just search my last name, Kniffen, Kniffen. You'll actually find a doubles match that I bowled with Dougie Heron against Pete Weber and Kyle Troop. And that was that 2019? I think it was. I'm trying to remember.
I think so. Whatever
it was 2019.
Whenever the Idle Pro came out.
Yes, because that's what I used to win my contract. No, but that was so that was at a big UBA event up in Delaware, and that was a pretty cool opportunity that came out of that. And so essentially, I've been bowling anything and everything I can get my hands on for probably the last 3 years. I think really, even rewinding back to when I first started kind of interacting with you, which was back when Patreon started, because I helped you out with kind of getting some of the Discord server stuff set up, was that I think could be traced back to a pretty substantial turning point of like, okay, I'm pretty good at bowling, but let's see how good I can actually get. And so that's where a lot of the kind of chase, like bowling everything I can to try and get better. And so then fast forward to actually just a few weeks after I won that contract match in August 2019, flew out, made my first trip out to Kansas City. I was ironically enough at Olathe East for Labor Day weekend. And I had no idea what my ball was doing for 5 games. And I was like, what the heck is this? I have to figure out how to solve this.
You should have just moved left. I think moving left, because that's the worst for play. So if you just moved left, I think you'd have been all right.
Well, no, the play was loft at 10 feet and play third arrow, apparently, which makes no sense whatsoever for that building.
Especially now. See, it was kind of funny because we were not on the same page. It was the first time that you had visited. Back when I was still a righty, we had very different games, and that's the only time where the move at Olathe has not been left. So now that you have continued to bowl at Olathe, now you know what I was trying to tell you about.
The move is always strong stuff and move left. Like that's literally the play all the time in that bowling center. The strongest ball you can that'll carry the corners and move left. So
except for that one day.
Except for that one time, and also compounding that is you and I think we've talked about this some on other streams on your channel before, is different bowlers have different ways of kind of looking at things and describing them. So you and I it took a few trips out here for you and I to learn how to talk to each other about this stuff. Because otherwise, I mean, even now, I remember you and I were having a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and I was trying to understand some terms you were using that were kind of not how I would normally think about something. And so there was kind of that gap to bridge as well. So that was Labor Day 2019, and pretty much got hooked ever since then. Obviously, COVID kind of put a damper on 2020, but then last year set a goal of making top 36. So I knew if I made enough trips and timed it right, that it was a legit feasible thing, and managed to sneak in there. And also bold enough to get a free entry for the grand finale, where I actually ended up finishing second in singles and made a huge run at the end to even make it into the stepladder. So last year was kind of a lot of kind of the work paying off to a certain extent, but also continuing to push even harder. I've bowled a regional, the non-champions regional down in Fort Myers, Florida back in March. Snuck into the cash line, almost backed myself out of it, but thankfully the cash line packed up more than I did, and ended up catching a PBA check down there, and was going to bowl a couple more regionals. And but by the time I went and bowled that regional, which was in early March, I had kind of made designs to move out here to Kansas City, and making sure I was prepared for this and not stretching myself too thin, especially with being involved with both UBA and Bowling Federation, was something that I kind of wanted to be very cognizant of. And so kind of my main focus for the last couple months before the move was actually putting everything into those organizations for the teams that I was on, and giving them everything I had to kind of close out the season, and was able to get both teams into the playoffs for their respective organizations. Unfortunately, one of my teams lost yesterday in the district finals of their particular organization, and then UBA playoffs are middle of next month. So I was able to get them there, and hopefully that is enough to get them to the next round from there. So.
Yeah, and I think for we have a really great bowling community around here, and the Kansas City tournaments that Dave runs mostly. He's checking out a tournament over there. So
Dave runs them, and Mike eats food. I think that's that's the division of labor. I think, right?
Yeah. Puts out fires.
I heard my name,
Mike doesn't really put out fires so much as he just kind of waits for them to go out on their own.
That's how I describe Mike, James. Is when people ask about us, we have two separate personalities, which works out for our tournaments. If a lane was on fire, I would come back to Mike. What are we going to do? Who we move where? What do we do here? And Mike would say, just wait for the fire to go out.
It'll go out eventually.
It'll go out. Why are you waiting?
But the Kansas City tournaments, you guys are up to doing on 3-4 tournaments a month almost now. There's plenty of demand, and we travel all over the area, including to places like Wichita and Springfield now.
Yeah.
And so your tournament finish gets you a certain amount of points, and you guys save some money from the prize fund every tournament towards the very end. And so there's the top 36 tournament. So if you're in the top 36 of the points, you get to go bowl this tournament. It's free. Everybody gets paid. And then a couple weeks later, they have the grand finale, which is if you've bowled at least 4 tournaments, then you get you qualify to bowl. But if you've bowled more than 10, then your entry's free. And there's a ton of added money into that. And so it's definitely a worthwhile thing to try to make. And making it from North Carolina is a first.
It was it was not a. It was not a financially lucrative endeavor, shall we say? Because if I'm starting $1,000 in the hole every single time I come out here, then it's hard to turn a profit in that sense. But I'm fortunate enough with my employment to be in a place where it's not about the money. Mike's Mueller's Tech. I'm in a place where bowling isn't about the money. It's about pushing myself to get better. And I've always been kind of the mentality that the best way to be better is to be around people who know more than you and who are better than you. And I've said this many times, the big reason that I've made so many trips to Kansas City, and it's legit probably been 15 trips in the last 2 years, is because as much as I love the people and the teams I'm on back in North Carolina, I learned more in one weekend of the tournaments that Dave and Mike run than I do of 2 months of whatever I could find back home. And that is not an overstatement. That is not hyperbole. And I legitimately think a lot of kind of the evolution of my bowling the last couple of years has been due to these tournaments and the experience I've gotten from them. So as cheesy as it is to say, the hype is real, and I'm a big fan of the tournaments. I'm going to bowl them as much as I can.
Yeah, well, you didn't have any shortage of competition out there bowling with and against people like Brian Simonelli and Kyle Troop. We have, Wichita is not that far away, so in their tournament, we regularly see the entire Wichita State Shocker team, pretty much. And then, people like Packy, Brad and Kyle make it occasionally. Zach Wilkins, who just shot 14.55 for 5 games.
Update on that, he shot 6.32 the last 3.
Oh.
So he struggled the last 3 for 261 overall average, but
you hate to see it.
Anyway,
huge.
Yeah, as much as there are some big names. I've actually bowled heads up against Kyle Troop a couple times, which is a lot of fun. Even as big as the names are, just like the tournament formats and the feel of the tournaments is so different from North Carolina to out here. A lot of the tournaments in North Carolina are a couple centers in Greensboro, or at least the ones that are accessible to me that make sense to bowl. They're in a couple different houses in Greensboro where it's like, legitimately, if you aren't shooting 250 or more every game, then you are losing money. I've literally gone 250, 240 and made less than a quarter of my bracket finals. And it's that like that. Yes, there is some competition there, but it's not the same caliber. Heck, I bowled a little doubles tournament at Mission Bowl down in Olathe on Friday night. I went 2-0, 2-teen, and doubled my money from brackets.
Yeah.
And that's like, I was funny. I messaged Angel with a picture of my score sheet. I'm like, oh, I remember why I like bowling in Kansas City now. And it's like get tapped to death for 630. Then I messaged her a few minutes later. Oh, I doubled my money in brackets. And
but it happens to everybody else.
Welcome home. So no complaints.
That's the funny thing too is, the very idea of also entering handicap brackets is kind of like, oh no, I don't. I'm going to have my hands full in the scratch brackets. I don't want any part of the handicap brackets. But down at the Greater Ozarks, which you'll get to bowl next year, they actually set a cap on the handicap brackets of 25 because they don't want the scratch bowlers running them over. So it's a very different idea around here. We hear about sandbaggers. We don't really have a whole lot of them here. I mean, where people are always talking on Facebook about them. There's the couple. I mean, if you run tournaments long enough, you've got to re-rate people. You've got to do different things. But it's not. It doesn't seem like it's near as big of a problem here as I hear it from other places. So handicap brackets are a thing. When people hit the all-in button, they're not just hitting the scratch all-in button. They're hitting the all-in button.
Yeah, and I think generally, I would say the scoring pace is lower out here than it is in North Carolina, and I think that actually helps a lot with the sandbagger problem, for lack of a better term. Is you can have a questionable average and abuse that, but fundamentally speaking, I opened once and shot 640, and someone who's sandbagging probably isn't going to be able to pull that off on any day of the week unless they are literally like at my level, but then bowling 26 a game below that, which would be the most blatant sandbagging in human history. So it kind of helps kind of tamp down on the sandbagging problem a little bit, which I kind of like.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is even the ones that are sandbagging, it's not like they can just turn it on when they need to turn it on, because even the big averages can't exactly turn it on sometimes.
Yeah.
So you're getting ready to go to nationals. Like you said, you leave here tomorrow, actually.
Yep, fly out tomorrow night after work, and then I bowl Thursday night and Friday night. We do the late shift both days due to some rescheduling.
Yeah, so then you plan to bowl the Bowler's Journal several times, and some other things out there. So you might give Aaron Smith something to write about. And
yeah, I'm actually bowling on Tuesday night. I'm actually bowling the Bowler's Journal as one of the guys who won the Team Eagle with Kyle Troop last year. So it's a friend of mine who lives in the Raleigh area, and he's going to be out there at the same time. Bowling with Brian Locke. I'm not sure if you remember his name from last year, Dave.
I remember Chris and Kyle, of course, but
okay, yeah.
Did you and Luke get a chance to talk about Arsenal? What all you're taking out there?
Yeah, I'm gonna get there in a second. And I'll lead in that direction. I think he's gonna have to try the hot dogs. I think hot dogs without the bun, keto friendly.
Absolutely, yes.
But the cool thing is too that Bowl Expo is going on this week, so you might have some extra added interest. You might be able to. There's going to be all kinds of people out there, so you might rub elbows with people. You might get to meet some of the other pros you haven't met, some people from Storm like Gary Hulsenberg.
Really I feel like I'm missing something on that.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I'll fill you in later on that.
I tried to deliver that with a straight face, but
you made a good run at it.
Yeah, I know. I tried really hard, but I wanted to get that in there. But anyway, going ahead and talk, because we have talked at length about some Arsenal stuff. I'm actually editing your video stuff from the other night, so I'll get that uploaded on the YouTubes hopefully tomorrow, and so you can take a look at that and confuse yourself even further. Perhaps.
Yeah.
Now that you know what you're doing, you might just want to leave that alone until you get that.
Well, I did. So it's funny. I was actually the church I'm going to is down in Grandview, just off of 49. And so while I was down that way, I took a bag with me to practice at Aaron's afterwards.
Oh, okay.
And I think I've mentioned to you before that the only balls I can strike with at Aaron's are like the weaker rotor grip covers. E-Trax, VTC, the mid to lower range stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought it'd be a really good idea to take R2X Hybrid and a Spectre, and that is it. Did not work very well. And so I was sitting there just beating my head in for 2 hours. Then I stop and think, wait, why did I do this? And it's just like, it's sometimes just you get so lost in the weeds sometimes. And I've been making a lot of kind of little tweaks to the physical game the last few months and just trying to get all that nailed down. And it's just, you lose sight of the forest for the trees sometimes, but that's how the cookie crumbles.
All right. So what's the final Arsenal for nationals?
Yeah, so I actually shipped ahead a 2-ball box before I moved to a friend of mine who lives out in Vegas. And that box has a Hopkinsville Purple Hammer, one of the legal ones. I think it's a 2019 pour. And then also my pink ice that I got from Bill, one of the guys in the Discord server. So I got urethane and plastic out there already. With kind of how I was feeling about my bag at that point, I wanted to have the extra resin ball available instead of just flying with 5 resin plus a spare ball. And if I'm going to have that, I might as well add one more and throw in the urethane ball, just because urethane can be really, really good for some people in the South Point Bowling Center, which is where the Bowlers Journal is held. So wanted to have that option available. So I have the purple hammer and a plastic ball out there already. And then I've actually got my bags here with me. This is one of the gems. This is the Crux Prime, the second one that I had drilled. Yeah. Actually used this ball last year in team event and shot 702 with it. It's drilled. Pin in the middle finger is kind of not in the best of shape. My surfaces also need work, but it's pin in the middle finger, kind of a weaker control type layout. So that is my really, really big smooth ball. Got a pin up Axiom that I am planning on using. That's kind of the smoother ball for if there's still a lot of volume to work with. Where I need the traction, but not necessarily as much blend as the Crux Prime. And then kind of playing off of the Axiom, if I need traction but more shape, this is the real gem. I have an Alpha Crux that has literally probably 60 games at most on it. A little bit of a weaker drill, so a little bit weaker and faster. But if I need something to kind of come off the spot a little harder, especially if I'm crossing with urethane, that is going to be an absolutely invaluable piece. There we go. This is a ball I'm actually expecting to throw a ton. Pin Down Obsession Tour, obviously, is pretty shiny right now. It will not be making the trip nearly as shiny when I go out to Vegas. But just a pretty standard pin below the bridge type of drilling, a little more control-oriented. It is asymmetrical, which helps it get through the pins better than some other stuff in that kind of general class of bowling balls. And then have a couple of kind of shiny-ish balls, not necessarily weak, but shiny. Just pin above bridge or pin above ring finger, I guess, on a Zen. This one I just drilled last week, so it's still a very fresh cover. That is working great. And then if they get crispy, this is another pin-up drilling on a hyped pearl, which has actually really, really impressed me. Feels like a little more stable version of a high road, but also having some Spectre-ish traits of kind of how it goes through the pins. And so that's the final bag. I could drill other stuff. I could get fancy and mix something else in, but when it comes down to it, my philosophy for nationals has always been take stuff you trust above all else. And if you don't trust it, then it shouldn't even be in consideration to make the bag. And I literally have as much trust as I can in each of those pieces. And so regardless of whether or not it is the perfect bag, that's the one that I'm taking. And I think I will be able to, if I can't find something to make it work with that, the fault is most likely not with the equipment. And fundamentally, at the end of the day, as long as I make that kind of checkpoint, then I'm good with it. So,
yeah, I'm kind of the same mind. When you have a bunch of equipment to choose from, it can kind of make it harder rather than easier sometimes. I mean, people think that you're naturally going to do better with more equipment, and I don't think that's always the case, because when you're sitting here, I'm staring at all kinds of bowling balls here. The decisions become infinitely tougher rather than saying, okay, I got this ball, this ball, this ball. If I can't use those, there's no reason.
If you can see that, that's my pile of bowling balls, so I'm in the same boat.
So for me, I'm still not entirely sure what I'm doing on the left side. On a house shot, I can make it work, but I'm still figuring out angles and all kinds of stuff on the left. So I'm going to take 9 balls, which I'm still kind of figuring out. I'll probably have a reality check before I go. I don't think that's going to make the trip. I might talk about that a little bit on our show in a couple weeks on the 10th, because that'll be right before I take off.
Well, here, let me build your bag for you, Luke, because you're a left-hander. So this is really, really, really simple. You need an Infinite Physics and an Auto Cosmos because you're a staffer guy and you got to hype the new stuff.
Yeah, I have to take them.
And then you need, let's go 2 Pro Motions.
Yeah.
4 urethanes and a plastic spare ball.
Yeah.
I knew this would make the arsenal.
That's really the only. Last year, again, it was the first time I've ever shot 1800 ever. Had 1700, I've had 1900, but the 1800 had been a thing. I used the ProMotion in team, and I used the pitch black. I tried to use the ProMotion in doubles and singles. That didn't work out so well, so I ended up using a pitch black. So lefty using a ProMotion and pitch black. I imagine that's going to be the case this year, but I am taking some stronger stuff. I'm also taking an Axiom because it's a very interesting reaction that I think it's been kind of a unique one because
it's just special.
There's
no other way to say it. Yeah.
But you can make it boom. You can make it be smooth. It's diggy, but it doesn't give up. It doesn't roll out. But you can get it to But you can get it to go straight off the end of the pattern if you want it to, or you can get it to continue. It's a pretty unique ball. I'm glad that I drilled. I'm glad that I got the chance to get another one before they disappeared.
Yeah, I think I've got another blank somewhere in the pile, I think, / hope, because that's been a really, really special one. Actually, I was just looking down at my the 2 bags I got here that I'm flying with, and 4 of the 6 I've drilled in the last month. With the physical game changes and my PAP changed a little bit, I needed some stronger layouts and stuff. So the Axiom was one of those, and that was as soon as I threw it, I knew that it was a ball that had to go to Vegas with me. So
yeah,
worked out.
Flying with, you're close enough to Vegas now. You can drive, sir.
That depends on your definition of close enough. And especially coming from someone who just drove halfway across the country to get here, not particularly in the mood to solo drive the other half by myself. So I will.
Fair enough.
I will be happily flying Southwest nonstop to Las Vegas. Thank you very much. Good day.
I hope there's a stop. Actually,
yeah.
They always say nonstop, and I hope there's a stop.
Yeah.
I don't know. When they tell you to get on the plane, get in the plane.
Yeah. I like flying, so I don't.
You like flying?
I love flying.
Why would you like to fly?
Well, the actual
it's because you're not driving.
Getting on the because I'm not flying. Because I'm not driving. Number one, that's actually getting better. But no, I like flying. But of course, I get on the plane. We take off, and I get all excited. And like, oh crap! I just have to sit here for 3 hours now.
Yeah.
And these
that's not my thoughts. My thoughts are how am I going to die? Is it going to be a water landing or a bird in the thing? I'm very anxiety-ish about it. So I just got back from driving James both ways.
My goodness.
So I'm used to it. I get it both ways. For me, equipment-wise, I was happy I had everything with me. Not that ended up mattering, but obviously most people are going to fly from.
Dave, it's the fault of the layouts that Steve gave you a few weeks back. You got to remember that. You can't lose that part.
He obviously didn't know enough about my game to turn bowling balls into magic orbs because they weren't that hard. I didn't throw it great. I made a massive 3-foot change on the approach.
I'm taking.
Not just a couple of inches back. Jazz now had me move back 3 feet on the approach to try to get some semblance of a backswing and fluidity. So I was working on all that. I will attribute a little bit to that, but they really weren't that hard. I'm telling you, James, when you get, at least for us, we were on 16 and 19. We were on the side that isn't technically the easier of sides between the two, but you're going to be able to stand left and throw right halfway through team and game 2 of doubles. It'll start off tight, at least it did for us. And all of a sudden, it just morphs into you just move left and you throw it right. As long as I threw the ball right, I was hitting the pocket. Almost every time. Once they broke down, they were that easy, and I just didn't capitalize and missed a crap load of spares. We're on YouTube, right? I could say that.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed a shitload of spares then.
Yeah,
they really do be like that sometimes.
I think you're going to do very well, especially managing the first part. If it's similar to ours, managing the first part is tricky because they were just tighter than we thought. And then all of a sudden they're not tight anymore, and you get way left. And I'm telling you, it's wide open going that way, especially in singles and doubles. After a game, maybe you just get left and throw it right, and you're good as long as you keep it somewhere in the parameters of where you're looking. And I think you're going to do very well.
That's the hope, and the fact that they do seem to be a little friendlier once they do open up is why I've gone a little more power oriented on my bag this year. Like even thinking back to my first year that I went to nationals, which was 2017, my bag was a Sherlock, a Phase 2, an IQ Tour, a High Road, and a Recon. And so, definitely a little more control oriented. And, you contrast that with this, where I've got an Alpha Crux with not much surface and a Zen with a really fresh cover, both in my bag. And they're those were chosen intentionally this year, kind of with the thought of, a couple different semi-stable options that will let me take advantage of some extra softness in the lane pattern in different ways, kind of depending on the situations I see. So I'm just, at this point, fundamentally, I'm just trying to give myself the best chances I can to succeed. And then once I get out there, take it one shot at a time. And, as strange as this may sound, I'm not setting a goal of a number this year. Like, I'm not saying I want to shoot 2,000 or 2,100 or whatever. I just, as hittable as they are, I'm expecting this to be kind of a somewhat similar situation, assuming I draw a decent cross to like winter bowling on a medium level challenge pattern where there's scores to be had if you play them right, but if you don't, then you're going to get screwed. And in those situations, if I worry about the scores, I generally bowl worse. And so it's just kind of, be smart about it, keep my head in the game and one shot at a time, and not really scoreboard watch all that much. And at the end of my 9 games, we'll see where I end up.
Yeah, and I think with the conditions the way that they are, score watching could be detrimental, because I think Brad and Kyle just bowled here recently, and they both shot like 550 or 560 in team. So
yeah.
Expecting, getting your hopes up or getting excited about that and then going out and shooting 560 could be kind of deflating. Of course, they turned it around.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, even last year, through my Crux Prime All of Team event and shot 702, and then I was like, oh man, I'm actually like, and that was the first time I even bowled above a 600 in the team event ever in my Open Championships career. And so then I'm walking into double singles, which is historically the part of the event where I've bowled much, much better. And I'm like, oh, I can, if I have a decent double singles, I can have a really, really solid all events finish. And then I went -6 for double singles because I threw it like an idiot and lost sight of that process.
It was rough in the center, and they flipped the patterns. Yeah. Team was the longer, more playable pattern last year. And then you get in the center, which the lanes are a lot dirtier, more higher friction. Plus, you get a shorter pattern that has more friction. So it's just friction on top of friction and more friction. Yeah. I had a nice little line with my pitch black, but the righties were having some trouble. So
yeah, and that was a combination of a few factors. First and foremost is I did not throw it well in double singles last year. I had a singular preconceived notion of how I was going to play the lanes, and I stuck with that far longer than I should have. Also, this did not help, but one of the other guys on my cross started between 3rd and 4th arrow his first shot of practice. And so that kind of hamstrung me a little bit, because then once I had to jump around the track, it wasn't jump an arrow, it was jump 2.5 arrows to try and get around what he had burnt in the fronts. And then it was just, I did not have a great time last year. It was largely my fault. So it is what it is, but it was kind of something to learn from for this year as well.
Yeah, there was when I bowled in Syracuse a few years ago, doubles and singles. One of our teammates started at 4th arrow with a 500 grit GB3.
So did you stab him after practice or after the event was over?
Well, actually, I got through after I got through the bracket window, I wasn't really that mad. I ended up playing like I played 5th arrow, falling back with a no rules pearl. I shot 6-0, 6-10, and tripled my bracket money somehow.
Wow.
Dang.
That is a good day. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was playing fallback from 5th arrow, and the ball didn't get right at the head pin until about 45 feet, and I don't think I let it out past 13 or 14. So it's just barely getting far enough right of the head pin to actually end up getting into the pocket. I actually threw it pretty well. I was kind of happy with myself. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing, too, is a lot of times at Nationals, obviously we're in the stadium or at the South Point Plaza, is their GS pin setters, which usually are a little more friendly on the snap 10 type hits, which favors the fallback game. So that makes sense.
Yeah. So
carry not an issue, I thought at all. My carry was fine.
It
overall.
generally isn't, especially bowling balls are a lot stronger than people think that they are. And so when you get onto heavier volume patterns, pin carry is better because a lot of the times the stronger, but even kind of the medium strength balls struggle to get down the lane on a typical league shot. Then all of a sudden you get to nationals, it's harder to hit the pocket, but generally when you do hit the pocket, ball has more energy, and so the pins fly around a little bit more.
Yeah. And so then it's just kind of a matter of managing your shapes at that point, kind of protecting against the slam 7, which South Point does give you that hit sometimes, but otherwise hit the pocket and hope for the best. So that's kind of my approach going forward.
All right. Well, our approach going forward for now is to get rid of you and get Angel and Luke some dinner. James, thanks.
Some tacos.
Maybe I'm sticking around, or I'm taking the taco to go.
I'll be there in about 45 minutes, Luke. Save a few for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not that far. That's really cool that you're here in town, James. Seriously, we're looking forward to seeing you all the time and not seeing jet lag in your eyes and you starting off so far in the hole. Now you can make this more profitable for yourself, and it's fun to have you here. So
no, I'm only on the hook for rent every month instead of a plane ticket. So trading one for the other.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Life is hard. So
pretty much.
All right. Well, we'll let you go now. Appreciate you coming on. Good luck at Nationals, and I will personally see you July 4th. And Luke, you got anything else to say to James, or are you just gonna call him after the show and
We'll just he's in. He's in the vicinity now, so be seeing him plenty, and looking forward to that. And I'm gonna steal him a little bit for helping me out. I'm trying to get there, but
it's kind of a symbiotic relationship right now.
Are you talking about videos, maybe?
Possibly.
Okay, well that's good. We can get somebody on those videos with the Reds finally.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Somebody that's not a boomer. So I think that's
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. So it's been a lot of fun watching the Bowler Show so far, and excited to see where it goes from here.
All right, James, appreciate it. Have a good night, man. Good luck in Vegas. Safe travels, and we might catch up with you afterwards if you do something special.
Yeah, hopefully so. All
right, take care.
Talk to you later.
All right, James Niffen. I don't know why the K is in the front, but James Niffen Jr. joining us here to finish off the show. Luke, I don't know about you. I am ready to wrap this baby up. We had another fun show, and unfortunately Lenny Borsch didn't get on here. Actually, I never did get an update on whether he won or not. And occasionally it's tricky to get on the PBA site. We'll say that. And I haven't been able to figure out if he's won or not. But either way, we'll get him on in the future. Here, he's a great guy. He just turned 60, and he's still winning, PBA 50 U.S. Opens and other tournaments. So he had a little bit of a drought, but he took care of that, and he throws it so good. It would have been fun to have him on. He couldn't make it. Here in the future, like we said, we'll get Neil Stremmel on.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
I talked to Tim Bird today, also does the Above180.com podcast, does a lot of stuff with Steve Klimkin on that. We'll get him on the show. But once again, thanks to everybody who came on here. Thanks to you guys in the chat who gave us a bunch of good questions for Tom Clark. Obviously this was a topic we wanted to tackle this week. And maybe we'll get somebody in from either Collier or Tom Shannon or somebody from Bolero, and we'll talk a little bit about them from their perspective on it here. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll take care of that. So once again,
has actually moved on, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what she's doing now, but it's.
Oh, that's right. What am I saying? What does she do?
I think it's another thing with. It's another thing with bowling, but it's.
It's bowling, all right.
It's a bigger. Or not necessarily bigger, but it was a good opportunity for her to get into.
Probably stuff that you and I should know at this
probably.
But we're not going to worry about that now. We want to thank all of our sponsors once again who make the show possible. Stormbowling.com, SRGBBFS, Coolwick, Turbo, Bowler's Mart, I Am Bowling, S&H Custom Homes, BobbyJacksons.com, Double J's Pro Shop, and let me look at Luke's shirt to see if I've forgotten anybody. I think that's everybody who helps make the show possible. So thank you. Thank you to Tom Clark, of course, the most accessible commissioner in the game.
Yeah.
Roger Goodell, David Sturm never came on my show. So we thank Tom, of course. We're kidding about that. But Tom has always been very accessible for us and always, as you said, transparent. That's a big thing for him. So he's always answered all the tough questions. I threw out a couple of hard balls there, and you threw out one. So Tom swatted those down perfectly. Also, Aaron Smith each and every week. Of course, Aaron's going to be going on a little sabbatical here in a couple of weeks, as he said. So we'll talk to him on the 10th, as we said earlier. For those of you who didn't hear us, we will not be doing the show on the third, 17th, and 31st. We've got stuff going on, so we're going to be bouncing around in between weeks. I'm going to probably be doing the show from my house, and then when we start up in August, we're going to start pretty much being on every week after that for quite a while, unless something in the bowling world comes up. So thanks to, once again, Tom Clark, Aaron Smith, and James Niffen for coming on the show.
Yeah.
Luke, anything else to add here? Anything you want to say before you head off to Nationals and come back with an eagle?
Yeah, that'll be a little bit wishful thinking. Hopefully, I'll have one of those Big Lebowski dreams one of those interesting Big Lebowski dreams about all the whatever. But yeah, I still got a few weeks to practice. I do need to practice because
you got plenty of time. You're not doing anything else in the bowling.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
You bowl all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm Zach Rhodes is going to be on my team, and he has an eagle, so definitely don't want to let Zachy down. Hopefully somebody else on the team will let him down more than I will. So
good
at least I'll stay out of the
The rest of his team bowled this week, I believe. Bowers and Zwaska and Ramek had a big team score.
Yeah,
and I'm missing a couple others there out of the top of my head.
Will Barnes,
Will Barnes was there, of course, and Jeffrey Young.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's all we have for now. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Once again, thanks to everybody who joined us. Thanks to all of our sponsors, and we will see you again.